Hey guys, Tomboy601, and today we have the campaign ship, the K. Schonberg, our German destroyer. Today we have our review, which means we're going to go through our commander, our build, the consumables, the stats, and then show off a pretty good game. So if that sounds interesting and you like videos like this, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's just dive on in. And first things first, when we previewed the ship, I was trying out a new build, and I have stuck with that new build because Schonberg is all about the sonar, and there's a certain commander that is all about the sonar, and that's going to be a Zertlane Rune. So we are running Sims and Mortif as the inspirations, and then her skill is going to help us with rotor shift time. We won't get the benefit of gun traverse speed. Then we are running Burn It Down XXL, Expose, well-rounded armor, acoustic chamber, and fully packed. Now, the things to call out here is all three of these are all about the sonar. We're going to take less damage when we have the sonar. We're going to detect torpedoes at longer ranges. We're going to have a longer duration, and we are going to get more charges, and it will be on cooldown a lot sooner. So overall, we're 100% building into the sonar, and that's because I guess we should run to the consumables now of this sonar. 5.6 kilometer sonar at tier 7, making it incredibly deadly, outdoing its tech tree counterpart. Was it the Z23? Yeah, the Z23. Z23 sonar is only out to 4.4 kilometers. So a massive, massive sonar at tier 7, and one that will, I feel like, be meta defining for the competitive folks. For those of you who just are out there and having fun, maybe not so much. But I guess we should talk through the consumables. So first, we have the damage control party. Nothing too special there. I'm sure you're aware of what a damage control party will do. Then we get into the first option, where you can either choose the main battery reload booster or the smoke generator. And my attitude towards this is twofold. One, smoke generator, if I wanted to play a smoke sonar combo, I guess I could just go play Loyang, which this kind of competes with, or I could just play a regular Z23, where main battery reload booster gives something fun. Also, the way I like to play this vessel is to use that NBRB to, go out and hunt, because the DPM of the ship isn't the best. It is not world-beating DPM, but this will even the odds with a lot of ships out there. So I save these for when I'm encountering other destroyers to be able to melt those destroyers down. And then the tables kind of are even, and because we're running fully packed, we get 3 charges. So usually that's enough to deal with all 3 destroyers on the enemy team. Then we have the engine boost, 8%, 120-second duration. And then finally, we have that sonar. We get 4 charges of it, and we don't have Rune upgraded enough where we could get 5 charges of it. But 5.6 ship acquisition, 5 kilometer on the torpedo. So overall, very, very good. As far as our upgrades go in our mod slots, first we are running aiming system mod 1. Then we are using the prop mod, then concealment, and finally that good old main battery mod 3 for better reload. Stats of the vessel, well, hit points, we're looking at 25,300 with an armor thickness between 10 and 16 millimeters. It's a destroyer, folks. You know there's not much armor analysis that's going to go on here. Then its main guns, 4 one-barreled 150s, and of course it does get quarter pen, which means you are able to pen 32 millimeters of armor, which you are going to see a lot of at the tier. So, hooray. You're going to be able to do a good amount of damage to battleships, specifically on their noses and such. Firing range, 11.2 kilometers. HE shell damage, 2,200 with a 13% chance to set fire, and the AP will do 3,800 damage. The torpedoes, they aren't that impressive. They are fine, very slow. 2 4-railed 533s, 90-second reload, 13,700 damage with a with a detectability of 1.3 kilometers, 8.5 kilometer range, and 58 knot top speed. Oops. AA, not great. 3.5 kilometer and with near single digit AA ratings pretty much for all of its tiers. You're not going to be shooting down many planes with this vessel. Maneuverability, 36 knot, 3.9 second rudder shift time, 690 meter turning circle. And then the concealment, we have it at 5.9 kilometers. Detectability by air, 3.1. Firing and smoke is 3. So those are the stats of Schonberg, and I guess we should now just go have and cut over to our game in it. So welcome to Hotspot, and well, we're on seaside, so we kind of just have to charge on in to the middle. 3 destroyers on each side, which means we can expect 1 destroyer with each grouping, and we do have a carrier game. So overall, this should be fun and interesting. Now, the way we've set up Schonberg is for a little bit of fun, a little bit of aggression, but also to be able to have the maximum amount of those consumables, because that is where the strength with Schonberg is going to lie, is just those consumables. So we're going to dump our torps at the North Carolina, who looks like he's kind of pushing into sea. We have the concealment to not get spotted by any of the destroyers, which is surprising. I guess he just hasn't decided to push in yet, but that's okay. And we're going to take up our position behind this little line here. Now, the one nice thing with Schonberg is because it has the 150 millimeter guns, we can punch through pretty much anything with our HE. It's not as impressive on a North Carolina with its 25 millimeter bow, but if we had a different battleship, one with 32 millimeters of armor, we would also be able to pen that with our HE. Even a nose and battleship like this is pretty useful for us to hear and or useful for us to be able to damage. You can see Shiratsuyu pops up. His torpedoes were the ones that we saw coming in earlier. We're able to get a little bit of damage done on him, but we're not going to pop the reload booster quite yet, just because there is no use for us to waste the reload booster. Luckily for us, we did get a permaflood somehow on that North Carolina. I'm not going to understand how or why, but it is occurring, so we are going to take it. It looks like he finally got his DCP back, and he's going to end up going down, and that means we can now begin to push back in and try to recapture C, because we now know that the enemy destroyer is that Shoritsuyu over here. He's not going to want to engage us in a gunfight, so we will do. It'll be okay for us to engage. As our teammate kind of spots this Nagato, I'm kind of looking like, can we farm some free damage? Unfortunately not, but overall, as far as things go, we're doing okay in the game. The enemy does have B, which means we're kind of starting to fall behind on points, but we've taken out one of their battleships. We've only lost 2 cruisers at this moment, but hey, it is what it is. We ended up getting spots, so we're going to hit our engine boost just to be able to close the distance between us and the Shiratsuyu. The reason we're doing that is generally the Japanese torpedo boats going to be a bit slower. We're also going to go ahead and activate our sonar. 2 reasons for this. One, Shiratsuyu well within our minimum sonar range, which exactly what we want, because this should light him up for our team to be able to shoot at him. 2, part of Azurlane Rune's benefits is we are going to get a damage reduction, and we're going to go and make a bold play here. And by that, I mean we're going to come out and try to gun down this Shiratsuyu without taking too much damage from this Nagato. But if we do take some shells, we'll get a decent damage reduction off of them, so that hopefully we don't end with too much damage as we dodge. I think those were secondaries that were firing at us. Shiratsuyu goes down. We can go ahead and successfully go dark. I'm now starting to get paranoid around the aircraft carrier that is in the area. But if you look on the mini map, we are now in a fairly good position to go engage that aircraft carrier. Now, the aircraft carrier knows where we are, but I don't think really knows that there is a second destroyer that has basically done a pincer maneuver to go and hunt him down, coming from the other side. And of course, we can talk about the battle strategy here, because you can see that the enemy team has pretty much pushed through B with impunity and taken out the majority of our ships. And you could say maybe that if that destroyer had been there, he would have been able to provide a bit more support. But this is where we are at the moment. So we are going to take the ire of this aircraft carrier as our other destroyer is able to come in close and deal the large amount of damage to the busted ship known as Chakalev. You know, the one the one aircraft carrier that has been terrorizing the high seas during this update. So we will continue and kind of put our focus towards dodging and moving our way into the cap as we get large amounts of HP taken away from his drops. But hey, it is what it is. We can only try to minimize it and try to get some damage onto him when we do have a clear shot. But it looks like our destroyer got some good torpedoes lined up, and we should be seeing a battleship going down in relative short order. And while that's happening, we will go ahead and move on in to the D cap, because, well, the enemy's taking A. We are kind of tied up on ships, though it's not looking good, because the enemy is definitely close by to our aircraft carrier, so we can expect to lose him fairly shortly. But Nagato pushing into us, so we can go ahead and drop the torpedoes. And this is the kind of fun way I like to play Schonberg. We are going to use the island for cover. We're going to rely on our teammates to kind of assist us with damage and spotting, because we don't have that smoke. But we have the decent enough torpedo range where we can engage ships with the torpedoes or the main guns. And when we need to, we can go ahead and pop our main battery reload booster and do higher amounts of damage. But when we don't need to do that damage, we can, just rely on the regular main battery, which does a decent amount of damage. So there goes Nagato, and we will finish off taking D. And then we have an interesting battle ahead of us, because ostensibly we are tied with the enemy team. We will each have 2 caps. We have a cruiser and a battleship. They have 2 cruisers and 2 destroyers, and we of course have myself and the other destroyer. Good for us is we still have plenty of DPM stored in. We have our main guns and we have our main battery reload booster. We also have plenty of sonar. So it's time for us to kind of do the other thing that Schonberg is good at, and that's hunt down the enemy destroyers. And let's see if we are able to successfully do that. Now, part of me in this was saying, what should we do? I think the easy play would be to go to B. But given that we have physical bait, and by that I mean we have a battleship, which will have the largest spotting radius, the enemy destroyers are most likely going to be drawn to try and torp our battleship. So if we can move to the middle of the map, we should be able to do a couple of things. One, with our sonar and our extra sonar range, we should be able to pick up any torpedoes for pretty much this entire middle section, right? Because we have that boosted torpedo pickup range. So we should be able to pick up anything that's heading towards that battleship and spot it for him relatively early. We should also hopefully be able to get in and engage the other battleships. What pops up, or the other destroyers. Now, what pops up? The Anchorage. Not exactly what I was expecting, but Anchorage, if I recall, does still have some torpedoes on it. And you're going to see a smoke screen starts appearing. And what is a smoke screen but a telltale sign of a destroyer lightning within our range of our sonar? And he will be a relatively easy target to pick out. You can see we are instantly spotting those torpedoes as he throws them out. Our battleship now has plenty of time, in theory, to see them and hopefully dodge them. And if we drop spot shortly, we should then be able to engage this Jaeger, who is the final destroyer on the enemy team. If we can take out their destroyer, I'm feeling better about our chances. Now, the enemies do still have both an Atlanta and an Anchorage, which could be problematic for us, especially Atlanta, given its high rate of fire and ability to do damage to us. But it's okay. We can see Jaeger throwing out his torps. And once again, that torpedo detectability early on is just so important for us being able to pick this up. Jaeger pops up right there. We can go ahead and rock out our main battery reload booster. You can see we've already started to angle away. The reason for that, we know Atlanta and Anchorage are going to be gunning for us. And you can see just how easy it is for us to gun down this Jaeger. Of course, Jaeger, not exactly the highest HP ship, but we're able to successfully knock him down before he's able to get behind the island. And because he's the only one who's not in a smoke screen right now, that is going to mean we drop spot. We can go ahead and re-angle. Now, we can still see that the smoke down there is being actively used by one of the cruisers. I don't know which one, but it's still being occupied by one of them. And we have our torpedoes back. So we're going to do two things. One, we're going to keep our detectability area just outside of where they were last spotted, as to not totally out ourselves from these ships. But also, I'm going to go ahead and just drop some torpedoes into the smoke, just to see if we can get a cheeky torpedo hit. We know he's in there because he's not spotting, though. As we can see, the smoke is starting to dissipate, so we should have a shot. I'm switching over to AP because at this range, both of those cruisers, we should be able to do some pretty decent damage to if they come out broadside. Anchorage turning back in, so we're going to flip back over to HE. And now that he's fired, we're going to go ahead and fire away again. First round of HE sets a fire. Flip back over to the AP, and boom, Kraken unleashed. We go ahead and pick up the kill on the Anchorage. Atlanta, being at the range she is going to be fairly ineffective, so we can just kind of kite while we're still lit. And at this point, I don't want to play any sort of games, just because who knows what my team is going to do. So I'm going to head into B and try and stop them from accruing points, because the game is very close and our other destroyer is well within detectability range, well within radar range and being melted range of that Atlanta. And if he goes down, we are going to be on a very close thing. Now, as he's taking A, of course, the enemy isn't accruing points through A, and we are able to generate a bit of a lead here. And if we can get inside of B, we'll be able to do the same there. But once again, I'm not trusting it, as we can now see he is being engaged by that Atlanta. And I am very much validated with my choice not to go over to A or try to do anything else cheeky against that Atlanta. Instead, we're going to sail into here and just start taking the cap. We don't have enough time to actually capture this area, but given the proximity of the Atlanta in our destroyer, I think this is probably the best bet we have as far as being able to win the game. We just kind of have to wait and see what happens here. Atlanta closes the distance enough so that he's able to spot him, wipes him out, and brings us nearly to a tie with that kill. But thankfully, because we have the 2 cap points and we are blocking points from accruing with B by sitting on it, we are able to take the win here and ultimately, take home our Kraken with a victory. All in all, Schonberg, I like it. I think it's kind of just a better Z23. I like playing it with the reload booster because it's just kind of more fun that way. But you can kind of decide what you want to do. Anyways, guys, if you like videos like this, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. See ya.